Hey everybody, welcome back. David Eon and the lovely Miss Lady Pop Hunter here with a little bit of a showcase, if you will. It's come up, people want to see some of the comics that we pick up, because we don't just do toys, we do comic books also. So we wanted to stop and slow down and take a moment to show you some of our pickups from the previous weeks. And you know, this is something we can do regularly if you're interested, and separate from like a CGC unboxing or something like that, or maybe separate from a convention pickup kind of a thing where we tour a convention and then we show you what we found afterwards. But just some of the books that we find, I guess you could say, out in the wild. You know, go to the antique mall or get it off,
eBay or Amazon.
Through eBay or something like that, or go to a comic shop, things like that. So we can go ahead and run some of these off.
Okay.
I guess I can go first,
all right,
as it doesn't matter. And we got these from an antique mall, and I'm just a sucker for these kind of things, these like goofy promo books. And you see that's Richie Rich and Casper and Wendy, and this is, I think, a Bronze Age book from the National Baseball League. And ignore that, that's actually just a sticker on the case. But I like these kind of things if I can find it in really high grade. I think they're really underrated, undervalued. And I just get a kick out of it. And I got another one here also, and this is one of the comics that they might give to the little kitty on American Airlines back in the 70s. So it's an American Airlines promo comic. You don't see these. You don't see these, especially not in any kind of halfway decent condition. And again, undervalued. People don't seem to care about them so much. And some other ones, some local comic store pickups. I got James Bond's For Your Eyes Only. And of course that's Roger Moore. And this is in really excellent condition. There's a big genre for like movie comic collecting. And it was only like $2. $2, it's in really nice shape. There's no ticks on it. At least I didn't see any. Roger Moore, James Bond, just classic. I thought it was cool. Again, I get a kick out of weird stuff like that sometimes. If I can, especially if I can find it for a really decent pricing. Well, let's see here. This is cool. Another underrated genre. Skeleton Warriors #1. And I think, what was that, $2.50? Yeah, this was $2.50. And it's like smack new. That looks like a 9.4 just at a glance. Cartoon. Playmates made the action figures in the early 90s. My kid used to watch that show. I collected the figures. I had a set of them. I've got a couple left. I got a couple that I picked up actually from Justice Curry not too long ago. I'd like to complete that collection, but there aren't too many of these around. And again, totally undervalued. $2.50 for a #1 issue. First appearance of Skeleton Warriors. This sort of thing belongs on my my key recommendation video. Really underrated. This, I think, was an unrecognized book. I don't think they realized what this was. X-Wing, Star Wars X-Wing Squadron. Picked it up for $5. Underrated book, but again, they didn't know what this was. And in particular, very difficult to find it in any kind of decent condition, because this was a Kellogg's mail-away from Dark Horse Comics. And it was mailed in a transparent cellophane mailer. So they shrink wrapped the book, stuck a label on it, and threw it in the post office. And that's how this book was handled. So you often find them just beat to death, or at least with a deep imprint where the label was stamped onto that cellophane window, because it was like shrink wrapped, like the bag in a cereal box, kind of the way that they did this. It was pitiful. So to find that in decent shape, that looks really, really clean. Nice sharp corners, no indentations. I was like, wow. This one I just couldn't resist, from Solson Comics, and that's one of those independent A lot of them were popping up in the 80s. The most famous, of course, was Mirage Studios. Most of them didn't make it. Neither did this one. But how could you how could you pass this up? Reagan's Raiders, #1. I mean, come on. That is nuts. I love that. I love this kind of weird stuff. The #1 issues from independent comics, especially in the 80s and the early 90s, that have been totally ignored in the comic world because it's not Marvel or DC or Image. They act like it doesn't exist. I mean, really, that's amazing. I love that. Now we get into the more hardcore stuff. I guess you could say it's hardcore. Well, to a lot of comic collectors. I got Tales to Astonish with Submariner and Hulk, #86. And this is a first appearance, and I'll be talking about this one more extensively.
Okay,
in a key video, yeah. It's an underrated key, and that is the first appearance of the Hulk Killer. And like I said, I'll talk about that in more detail later. I wanted to get this one. Some other Hulks, and I got these because they're just really excellent examples of these issues. They're very clean. Hulk #148. 171 versus the Abomination and the Rhino. $174 versus the Cobalt Man. And then 196. And it looks like the Abomination is in there again. But, you know, anytime, especially if you can find Bronze Age books that are just really clean, that's a good thing. Some slabs. And this is Marvel Team Up #1. And it is significant. This is a key, actually, and I got this because it has the potential to get cleaned up pretty nicely. I think I can crack this and do a little work on it, some cleaning and pressing. First appearance of Misty Knight.
Oh, okay.
From
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, yeah. Although she's not named in the book.
So how you know it's her?
In this story, Spider-Man saves her life. You find out later that her name is Misty Knight.
Okay.
But technically her first appearance is here. They just don't tell you what her name is. So I'm like, yeah, I can clean 6.5. I can get more than a 6.5 out of this. Yep. Looking at it, and I can see wrinkles and some soiling, and I'm like, yeah, I can clean that up, even just a little bit. This one, very clean, and almost none of these on the CGC registry. This is a book that not too many people have worked with, and that, of course, is Marvel Superheroes #41, and is a reprint. It is a reprint of Tales to Astonish '86. So that is the Hulk Killer on the cover. But this is another one that I looked at it and I said, you know what? I can clean this up. It's mostly overlap holding it back. You can see it across the top there. I can fix that. So I'm gonna crack this one and work on it. Here's another one I may open up, because I can see where there's some room for improvement here. There's some wrinkles, some spine ticks. Hello, Kitty. Cameo from Miss Kitty. How you doing, sweetie? I love the cats. They're therapy. But this is Marvel Double Feature #1. 1973. Guys, don't sleep on Bronze and Copper Age right now. Bronze and Copper Age is the new Silver and Atomic Age stuff, because it's getting there. But Marvel Double Feature #1, and it's got some room for improvement. This is another one I may break open and try to work on. Honey, you need to be careful. She's all over the place. She just wants some attention. You know how it is, guys. Winding down on my side, and I know LPH chomping at the bit. Yeah, she's got some great books, actually, in her collection. I think so.
Not as amazing as yours.
Oh, well.
We'll see.
It depends. You know, it really is what's important is how much it means to you.
Yeah.
Honestly, not what it's worth or how many there are or anything like that. Marvel Team Up number 12. And that's the first appearance of Moondark. And it's in a 9.6. 9.6, don't know if I want to tamper with this case at a 9.6, but it was a great price by comparison of what this should go for. Honestly, I think that I got this at a comic shop. I think they made a mistake. And I was like, that can't be the right price. And it was. And so, yeah, I took a shot at it. First appearance of Moondark, a minor wizard in the Marvel universe. And then finally, and this isn't a huge book, but I wanted it. I think it's a very underrated title, actually. And that is the 1988 Green Arrow.
I like that cover.
Yeah, great artwork on the covers in this series. It's a very adult format book. The way that the writing is, it's something that belongs in the Vertigo titles. Before there was a DC Vertigo, this would have been in it the way that it was written, the theme of the whole thing. And it's a very undervalued, underrated book is the Green Arrow and the miniseries that is accompanying this particular series. Plus, I enjoyed reading it, and this is, in particular to me, even though it's not specifically valuable, brought me back into comics in the early 80s, or late 80s, I should say, because I've been away from that sort of a thing for a while, and I used to work for a church in Allston, Massachusetts, and I'd take out their garbage. And when I was pulling their trash, the first 3 issues of this were laying on top of the barrel.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm going to take these. And I took them. I was like, why not? I'm going to take them. There was nothing wrong with them. They were perfect. And I read them, and it brought me back into comic books. So there's a little, you know, nostalgia with that particular book for me. And that's what I've gotten in the last few weeks.
Okay.
So let's take a look at some of what LPH has picked up in the last few weeks.
Well, because I just started collecting, I have a lot, and I just pulled out some. This is not all that I've gotten so far for the month of September.
Oh, my God.
I just didn't want to take up too much time. But as many of you know, I like horror comics. So when we go to the comic book shop, or if I see a lot on eBay, which I haven't bought a lot of lots, but if I go to the comic book shop, I buy the cheapest ones. The stuff that's in the dollar bin, $2, $3, $4. You know, I get those. It's others that I get also. It is.
And a lot of these are underrated titles anyways, honestly.
Yeah.
Good story writing.
And I have more than just horror. Like I said, I just pulled out some because I did get a lot because I am starting to collect. So, you know, this month was like the main month, and so I got a lot, but I just pulled out like a handful. But I also pick out books based on the cover art too, because I'm a big cover art, and I'm going to read it. And that's another thing. I will read these books. I'm already reading 2 right now. Well, we just finished one last night, Mandrake. Me and David's reading that one together, so we'll start another book together.
Golden Age Mandrake. Is it the Golden or Atomic Age?
It's the it's the Golden Age Mandrake. Okay. And that story is kind of, you know, here and there.
It's a little adolescent.
Yeah, hopefully it picks up, but we'll see. But like I said, these I got within the month of September, and I'll get to it to reading it.
And there's a significance to this too, because as you can see, I mean, not all vintage books are like huge expensive keys.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can collect a lot of stuff. It doesn't cost much, and just really enjoy it.
And it's okay if you get a book for the sheer like of the cover. And that's what drew me in to comic book collecting. I love the cover. I like seeing it. The pictures are very interesting. The colors seem like they used a lot of colors.
That weird war one that you're about to pull up is pretty interesting.
Yeah. See the skeleton with all of the people coming out of its mouth. But it seems like in the golden, silver, even in the Bronze Age, they used a lot of color.
Yeah.
And sometimes the color is still real rich. Sometimes you'll see books and they're faded. And you're like, oh, that's faded. But sometimes you see them and the colors are still bright and vibrant.
That's also why it's hard to find a lot of them in a high grade, too, because, you know, line breaks, they just really prominently jump out when really sharp color has been broken like that.
And I'm interested in war books, especially that have Nazi symbols on it. I don't know. It's like, yeah, what's your problem? Well, I like that. I like that the symbols on there. It got the Hitler. This one has Hitler. No, it don't. Not this one. It's another one that I have that has Hitler on it. But this one I'm interested in reading. It's called The Unknown Soldier. And I'm interested to see his background and what he's all about. And I have only 2 of The Unknown Soldier.
You're not going to find out what his background is about. He's unknown.
Yeah, well, they got to know something. Something got him started. And I'm interested in seeing that. Another war book with Nazi covers on it, with a Nazi symbol on it. I just find that interesting. And during the war efforts, they had a lot of those propaganda books that were going around. A lot of patriotic books. A lot of books with the savings bonds and the stamps. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's when people got together and they got behind something.
Yeah, you know, Captain America fighting Nazi zombies.
Yeah, and Batman giving weapons to the soldiers, and Superman sticking a poker up Hitler's butt and all kinds of stuff.
Was that Superman? I know that, or was that one of those? One of those. I remember one with somebody from the Marvel family chasing Tojo and Hitler with a belt, and he was whipping their behinds and they're holding their butts.
Now these books right here, actually, I got in a lot. I bought it on eBay, and I'm not really interested in it, but I bought it on eBay, and it had some other things in it that I really wanted, but these were kind of like thrown in. But you know, they're in the books, you know, they're in there, and I'll read it and, you know, keep it and love it and make sure they don't get damaged. And you know, from watching the channel, I'll buy anything if it got Dead Man on the cover. It could be the dumbest story ever. I'm gonna read on Dead Man, and I like the character. I've read a little bit about him because he was in Swamp Thing, so that made me interested in who he is and how he came about. They gave a little bit of backstory on him in the Swamp Thing. Well, it was actually Challenges of the Unknown. And Swamp Thing and Dead Man was in Challenges of the Unknown, and they put that in the Swamp Thing omnibus. They put that story because it was like, I don't know, 6-7 stories or something, or books, or however you want to look at it. And they put it in there, and that's how that's how I was introduced to Dead Man. And I found his character to be real interesting. And I'm also interested in Spectre. We are watching the Batman animated series. It's just like a bunch of the Batman animated movies.
Yeah.
And one of them had a short of Spectre. And I found that to be very interesting. So I want to read more on him. So I'm also collecting books on him. And I think I got this one also in a lot. So I like Batman, so I get some Batman comics. I will go out and buy the older Batman, and some detectives, depending on the cover. Like, I really like this cover. It's ratty, but that's all right. You know, it's old, 20 cent. You know, it's been around, what, 50 years. So, you know, I think it's nice. I like this one. It has Scarecrow on the cover. And I think that's a nice picture of him. Nice drawing.
I like how on that one of the people attacking him is like a chef.
Yeah, down here. You see a chef. So, and I really like this one. It looks more like a horror book instead of a Batman, because you see not a skeleton, but it's a face.
A head, yes.
A head. And the mouth and the eyes are stitched together. So it looks more like it would be a Strange Tales or a House of Mystery book instead of a Batman book. So I thought that was nice. That's the reason why I picked this one up. Now I'll read it, see what it's about. And then, of course, I think we showed this one on another video. I got this one this month. The 89 Batman.
Yep, square bound.
Yeah. So that's my pickups. That's the I got more, like I said, but you know, I didn't want to hog up the spotlight.
That's all right.
But I know David went on and on about his books. But that's cool.
Anyways, what do you guys think? Do you think we have some decent pickups? Again, remember, you know, it's not always about, and I know it feels that way watching a lot of channels. Oh my God, you know, those keys are worth so much. That's such an expensive book. They don't all have to be huge keys.
Yeah, like mine. I don't think I have one key. I like the cover and I like the story.
Well, not like a blockbuster. It's, you know.
Yeah, I ain't getting $1,000.
Let's get it on Heritage Auctions.
Yeah, I probably won't get $100 for this.
I don't know about that, but yeah, it's about enjoying the hobby.
Yeah.
And I know I get some books that are a little more high end, and I like working with them. I like to do the cleaning and pressing and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's not always about that.
Yeah.
So hey, what did you think? You think we got some good stuff? What are your impressions? Did you pick up anything really decent recently? You can tell us about it in the comments section. Is this a segment you would like to see more of?
Yeah.
Let us know also in the comments section.
We're thinking about putting out either our weekly pickups or at the end of the month.
Yeah.
But then if you do it at the end of the month, it might be kind of long. So.
But if we do a weekly, it might be a week where we didn't do anything either.
Yeah. So you know, just sporadically, like two times a month or so, we'll show our pickups, what we got so far for the month, and then you know, we'll go from there. See how it goes. Just
let us know what you think.
Yeah.
So please do give the video a thumbs up, share it if you can, subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. And if that's it, then what more can we say? But thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.